It's thousands of kilometres out in the middle of the vast blue dish that is the Pacific. Isolation has preserved a languid way of life here, where everything revolves around the rhythm and bounty of the sea.
There is no comparison to this place. This place is unique. When I come back here, I say, well, I'm in paradise again.
Within what is a huge atoll, Chuuk Lagoon is a diver's paradise. Strikingly beautiful above the waves and hauntingly beautiful below. And no one knows its secrets better than legendary diver Gradvin Aisek.
Are you ready, Mark?
Let's do it, Gradvin.
Okay, let's go. Let's have fun. Okay, let's go. I've been diving 30-some years, and every day I dove the ships. And I really enjoy see the crowd, the marine life. It's really sparking in my brain.
It feels as clear and picture-perfect as a giant glass fish tank. Thousands of species of fish and coral everywhere. But there are other spectres that reveal themselves as we descend, all from another world and another time.
First time I dove the ship, I have a fear because I'm thinking about seeing a ghost on the ship. But when I dive a lot, I really enjoy going inside. It's just absolutely beautiful, fantastic.
The people of Micronesia have a saying, what the tide washes ashore, it will one day take away. And here, the tides wash over both the metal and human skeletons of a massive nautical graveyard. This lagoon of lost ships is a time capsule of a brutal battle which helped turn the Pacific during World War II. But history has come full circle. What America's bombs dispatched to the ocean floor over half a century ago have transformed and amalgamated into one enormous ticking time bomb. These oily, pebble-sized blobs offer a clue. But so far, no one has the answer for what's quickly shaping as an environmental disaster.
Well, that was simply spectacular. There are over 50 Japanese shipwrecks at the bottom of this lagoon. The Japanese thought this was a fortress, that they'd never be taken out of here at all. But in 2 days, in February 1944, wave after wave of US bombers came through. And in the end, they sank 200,000 tons of Japanese ships. And in terms of tonnage, that is the greatest mass sinking in the whole of World War II.
These are waters long considered impregnable by the Japanese. Enemy planes come up in a desperate effort to protect their vital base. The gunners throw up a curtain of flak, and enemy warplanes are shot flaming into the sea.
Back then, it was known as Chuuck, and it was considered the Gibraltar of the Pacific, a perfect natural fortress, a mid-ocean lagoon inside a protective coral ring, with just 5 easily defendable passes.
Now, American carrier-based planes go aloft.
But Operation Hailstone, deep into enemy waters, would smash and sink the most formidable stronghold of the Japanese combined fleet.
Striking again and again, American forces hammer at Chuuk 22 times within 5 days.
トラクトっていうのは先ほど申しましたように日本海軍のパールハーバーですよね。敵を撃たれたなというような感じましたですね。まあ私の2年9ヶ月の戦闘の体験を通じてですね、もう一番最大の戦闘でした。
後ろに爆弾が当たって魚雷が当たって環境は全部周りはもう真っ赤な火の海になったんです。火の中立ってるからこっから先が全部皮がなく顔が全部皮が剥げてベロベロ下がって耳は両方から焼けてるからこんなになる。
Chief Navigator Sato and Second Lieutenant Nakamura somehow survived the 1,200 bombing sorties by US fighter planes. Each wave stronger than the Japanese strikes at Pearl Harbor.
第二のやつで口をやられて沈んで見てるとこう負荷なんかがこう泳いでるのが見えてるんですけどね。ところがね飛び込まないと船自体沈むから。
アメリカの機動部隊のパイロットは非常にもう果敢でしたよね。それと急降下爆撃機の爆弾投下ですね。これいずれも非常にもう身の毛がよだつような怖さですよね。しかも私は中部機銃隊で機銃の指揮官をやっていましたからね。自分のところに近寄ってくるわけですよ。船で5人ぐらい亡くなったと思います。
And so an unassailable strategic fortress became, in 48 hours, a submerged scrapyard of warships and freighters, warplanes, tanks and trucks, and a tomb for thousands of Japanese. Over time, and as the stark horror of that epic battle and tragic loss gradually subsided, Chuuk Lagoon became a must-see for war historians and recreational divers alike. It earned a reputation as the best collection of shipwrecks to dive anywhere in the world. Now though, Chuuk's tourism drawcard is more a toxic tragedy waiting to happen. The enormous tanks and holds of these wrecks are about to give up their grimy, destructive contents.
The issue of a time bomb is essentially the trapped oil. To compare the Exxon Valdez with the risk in Chuuk Lagoon is not stretching the bow too far, because the Exxon Valdez was basically out in an open ocean environment or in an estuary area. Chuuk Lagoon is a coral reef system. And to have the release, the sudden release of thousands of tons of toxic oil sludge onto these pristine shores would be utterly devastating and would ruin the whole island's economy for generations to come.
Rusting silently among the wrecks of Chuuk Lagoon, these three massive Japanese tankers could be holding up to 32 million litres of oil. And already they're slowly bleeding.
We have about 3 tankers. That's over several million gallons of oil capacity. So imagine if one of them, kind of just split open and all the oil gushing out.
The volume of oil spread out like that in a coral lagoon would have a totally devastating effect on the environment. It would be worse than the recent Gulf of Mexico oil spill.
Despite the growing knowledge and the warnings, so far there's no plan in place to deal with this unfolding drama. And is it a job for governments or privateers like Tony Turner, who's worked for every major oil company on the planet, including BP?
And how deep is it?
Start 12 meter top.
This drawling, deep-diving Queenslander has come to Chuuk Lagoon to see if this unique ecosystem can be saved.
We'll see what we reckon, huh?
And if there's some money to be made from recovering the oil from inside the tankers.
You could refine it. When you pump the oil out of the ground, it's not perfect. It comes up with sand. Some of them come up with a large water cut. They send them to refineries and they come out with regular oil. So No different.
Today, Tony Turner is inspecting the Fujikawa Maru, a 130-metre-long Japanese freighter which was carrying Zero fighter planes when it was sunk by a US torpedo. Now sitting upright on the bottom, the Fujikawa is encrusted with coral. Her guns are rusted and silent, and like the other wrecks, the Fujikawa is slowly breaking up.
Is there any idea in your head how much oil that thing potentially could be holding?
Well, it's hard to say, you know, hundreds of thousands of gallons. If it does leak, it's just like a glue. It'll get into the mangroves and it'll be hard to get out.
Scientists around the world too believe these ships are on the verge of rupturing and spilling their toxic cargo. Corrosion, boat anchors, typhoons and dynamite fishing are all weakening the wrecks. Ian McLeod is the world's leading expert on underwater corrosion. In 2002, he assessed the Chuuk wrecks and concluded they'd begin breaking up within 10 to 15 years. In other words, from about now.
The tankers are losing their mechanical strength, and if you get a typhoon coming through, even at depths of 30, 40, 50 metres, the wave action can be intense. And so if a vessel has been lying there quite happily for 60, 65 years, the waves can literally tear the wreck apart. And one moment you can be living in a pristine marine environment, and the next morning after the typhoon, you could have black, oily sludge devastating your beaches.
The big question is how to get the oil out of the wrecks. There aren't a lot of options, and the one that looks most effective is a process called hot tapping. It's also very expensive.
The problem for Chuuk is it's a poor country, and what they need is a team of experts to come in who are specialists in preservation of shipwrecks and also in hot tapping the oil out of shipwrecks. That's when you go and drill holes in the vessels and you put in a steam lance and you basically warm the oil up to the point where it's mobile and then you suck it out.
By doing it with hot tapping, it's like keyhole surgery on your knee or something. It's not a major incision, it's just a small hole here, a small hole here, and you're averting a monumental disaster.
But this keyhole surgery comes with a multi-million-dollar cost, one that impoverished Chuuk State could never afford. Home to about 57,000 people, this Micronesian state could not survive without overseas aid and the trickle of tourist dollars from visiting divers.
Whoa. Yo, yo!
The unemployment rate here is estimated at about 40%. And many young people spend their days doing little more than smoking marijuana and hanging out on the street.
That's what we're doing. We're using that to develop the roads.
Wesley Samina is the governor of Chuuk. He's trying to turn the place around, and his top priority is fixing Chuuk's appalling roads.
Service to the remote
That's an example of the roads just there.
Yes, that's right.
Chuuk can't even afford to pump the water out of its potholes, let alone pay for pumping the oil out of its wrecks. And beyond the cost, there's another major problem for any clean-up operation. Technically, these ships are a Japanese war grave, meaning they can't be touched without permission from Tokyo. The governor thinks both the Japanese and the Americans have a duty to prevent an environmental disaster.
I don't know, maybe there are legal issues, there are political issues, I'm not quite sure about that. But from our perspective, I believe it is both governments' moral as well as legal applications to do so, to help us out cleaning up this oil situation in our wrecks.
Japan is, of course, mired in a major environmental and humanitarian catastrophe at home, but truck survivors we spoke to believe responsibilities remain.
分かっていってもですね、これある程度メンタルな問題なんですよね。人類に害をするようなものはどんどん排除するし、きれいにしていくというのが当然の仕事じゃないかと思いますね。
And so once again, Chuuk finds itself beholden to outside forces. This place has long been a slave to its colonial masters. It's said the Spanish brought Christianity, the Germans commerce, and the Japanese war.
There's no poison snakes on the island.
I'm being taken to see more of the enduring scars of Japan's presence here by Gradvin Aisek, the Chuukese diver whose father witnessed the battle in 1944. To get to where we're going, we have to hack our way through thick vegetation.
Look at that. Thank you very much. That'll be nice and refreshing, I think.
Yeah.
For a hard-earned birthday. Cheers.
Cheers. Well, welcome to Tonawas.
The island of Tonawas was the Japanese headquarters of the combined fleet. From this atoll, the Imperial Army had a powerful offensive base, which it used to strike at Allied forces in New Guinea and the Solomon Islands.
Over here we see one of the Japanese guns sitting on the top of the hill of Tonawas Island. They are very, very well dug in.
And what does your late father, what did he remember about the attack? How bad was it?
Well, according to my dad, he said he never had fear before. When he born and raised, he never had any fear. But when the American came and bombed the island of Chuuk, that's the first time he ever felt the fear of his life.
For the islanders, life under Japanese rule could be brutal. After the US bombing attack of early 1944, Chuuk would be bypassed. The survivors left to starve and rot. 84-year-old Lucas Menchuk remembers how desperate some of the Japanese became.
Ave pariro era poraus. Purwo terapue. Te siri even Chuuk repeneri futukan ika. Repotori okotor feinoika ettaboreo baun. Ira arre plan rekieki repofer ika. Beiso posoboreo bauru chorbet rariwe kera masorar ku plan.
Others, like village chief Menes Lion, remember another terrible side to the aftermath of the battle, a sea of oil.
Oil ape cia esetuan ikiren orun beruatke. Tori ye wopan ekrakakis oil be ya. Beibere tabere pen kesip irwe angaro ikiren orun beruatke. Ketuarun not asisa.
Just as it was when Menes Lion was a boy, so it is now. Chuuk Lagoon is the provider. Without fishing, this subsistence economy would collapse. Sananta Polan and Joe Sirius are just two Chuukese who rely on harvesting the marine life of the lagoon.
Since many years ago, we still continue on depending on the fish for it and also for selling for earning money. We need help.
Today's catch of mackerel will be barely enough to feed these men's children. So the thought that a massive oil spill could kill every living thing in this lagoon is terrifying.
We can have fish for breakfast, we can have fish for lunch, we can have fish for dinner. Me, I never get tired to eat fish. I eat fish every day.
Those days could be over if one of those tankers splits.
The mangroves are the nursery ground, it's the breeding home for a lot of the fish species, and therefore the oil will kill them. And the island economy is based on fishing, and it's a sustenance for everybody on the island. And so if the fish go, the people will starve.
To dive master Gradvin Aisek, an oil spill would mean more than losing his living. These wrecks are like family.
Fujikawa Maru is an aircraft ferry transport. That wreck went down by a torpedo bomber. It's a very special wreck to me because that's the first wreck I dove in 1974. That's my first wreck dive. And my dad really loved that wreck.
On the hull of the Fujikawa, there's a memorial to Gradvin Aisek's father. Kumio Aisek was inducted into the International Scuba Diving Hall of Fame. So famous was he for exploring these wrecks. Now his son is the keeper of the ships and their secrets. To Gradvin Aisek, the oil threatens not only living creatures and livelihoods, but the wrecks themselves.
Diving here in Chuuk is very, very important because it's bringing a lot of people around the world to visit Chuuk Lagoon because of the shipwrecks. And I think without the shipwrecks, no one will come to see our place. That's why the shipwrecks are so important to us and to everybody.
In a place where time has loped along at a very leisurely pace, there's now a growing sense of urgency. That time may now be fast running out. And the locals are in no doubt about the devastating consequences.
We will not be able to stop it. And that's our worry, because it's not a question of if it will happen, it's just a question of time, when that will happen.
I think it will kill most of everything. Because if there is oil still inside, and it can spread around the lagoon and kill things live off the shore, kill anything on the top of the ocean, I think it will kill everything. I think my heart will be broken. I think my heart will be devastated.